Hello everyone, how are you doing today? I hope you're having an absolutely delightful day. It is time for speed reviews and I have so much stuff to talk about. I don't know if I'll have enough time to go through everything. Some of the stuff might have to go into next month's speed reviews. I have purchased some things, but a lot of these things also I got gifts from other people. Other people are also in the same mood as me and decluttering their collections, and like I feel like all my friends were like spreading the love. So I have things I purchased, things that were gifted to me. I'm still trying to catch up on reviews from all my Black Friday purchases as well. So before we get started, let's talk about today's tea of the day. I don't think I like it. It's actually a very interesting little tea. It's from this brand called White 2 Tea. This is called the 2018 Mini Redheads tea. I don't know what that means, but it's a pressed black tea into like a little tea cake. I should have a picture up showing on the screen so you can see what I mean. You break it in half for an 8-ounce cup. And I was pretty optimistic because it says it's a black tea, but when I drink it, it tastes kind of like a pu'er, which I really have to be in the mood for a pu'er tea. If you haven't had pu'er before, all the ones I've tried have been very earthy. And it's a very rare mood for me where I want that flavor. This one tastes kind of like a pu'er. It's like a mild, earthy taste. I don't know, I'm just not into it today, but I appreciate that Sips By sent me something different to try. Okay, let's get going on these reviews. Hopefully you can't hear my husband's tractor right outside the window here. If you can, I'm sorry about that, but let's get going. Okay, start with palettes. So this is a Chocolate Martini palette from Glamlite. This was one of my Black Friday purchases, and I finally am ready to review this. So first of all, the packaging, really cute with the Chocolate Martini on the front. On the back, it has like nutrition facts, like it's an actual chocolate martini or something. It's really adorable. When you open it up, it has a nice mirror on the inside, and then these are the colors. So this actually very beautiful. I was expecting it to be quite nice just because all the reviews I've heard of Glamlite over the years, people seem to love the formula. I tend to fall into that camp as well. I find the mattes to be very nice and blendy. I didn't have any problems blending the shades. And the majority of the shimmers are the kind that kind of leave a kind of a wet, sparkly look on your lid that is very in right now, I've noticed. I feel like that type of shadow is in all the palettes I have to review today, actually. I enjoy wearing this type of shade, but I don't really get as much wear time with this type. They always tend to crease a little bit on me by the end of the day. I tend to not really care because they're so beautiful. I mean, it's so pretty. I think I have a look featuring this purple as well. That was the shade Happy Hour over here. I'm very happy with my first Glamlite purchase. And if you're into those kind of very sparkly, wet looking shadows, I think that you'll like it as well. The second palette I want to mention, ooh, my heart. I love this one. I think this might be the winner in terms of palettes that I'm talking about today. So this is from Lorac. This is the Noir palette. So here's why I love it so much. The top row is a row of extremely useful mattes. Like those are mattes, every single shade. I would wear those. All of them blended out beautifully. There was a lot of pigment in these, which is something I worry about ever since trying the Lorac Amour palette. That one had, the mattes had such low pigment. It was so strange. That's not the case with these. These have beautiful pigment, but they blend out well in typical Lorac fashion. They do have a lot of kick up in the pan, also typical Lorac, but they blend beautifully. I think I said that already, sorry. But so you have that row of mattes, and then you have 2 rows of gorgeous lid shades. Like that, every single shade to me was like a lid shade. This one, obviously you can wear as a beautiful lid shade, but it was also a really pretty, just kind of a topper shade. So nice. So that's just kind of a toppery shade. Really pretty. The rest of these lid shades is a combination of metallic shades, like your classic smooth metallic, and then more of those kind of sparkly, wet looking shades. Try to find some examples. So here's one of the metallics, so beautiful. And then here's one that has more sparkles in it. Again, so beautiful. I created so many looks with this. Like it took me forever to get my review out for this one because I wanted to test all the shades. And I just kept having look after look after look that I was so happy with. This is a really easy palette to build a beautiful everyday look with. And because it has these shades over here, it can go pretty glam, but I loved it. I loved it. I'm trying to decide. My favorite Lorac palette is probably still the Unzipped, just because I love the rosy browns in that palette so much, but this comes in second place, I think. I really like this one. The next palette that I would like to mention is this one from Natasha Denona. This is my first palette purchase from Natasha Denona, and this is actually the Glam face palette, and I picked up the light shade. So it comes with this little plastic divider thingy to protect the cream blush over here, and then it comes with a powder highlighter and then 5 eyeshadows. So this palette actually wasn't even on my radar, but there's a lovely Instagrammer that I follow who posts like her daily makeup, and there were several times where I was like, what is on her lids? And every single time I like checked her information, it was this. Specifically this shade right here. So at the top row there, that's the 5 eyeshadows, and then we have the cream blush and the highlighter. So very, very everyday wearable. I really enjoyed reaching for this, and the sparkly shades, the ones that made me buy this palette, are also kind of that flaky, ultra kind of wet looking shadow. It's so, so prettiful. Prettiful, beautiful, pretty. I did think that in real life, the swatches and the way that they apply in my eye is quite different than the swatches on like the Sephora website and the Natasha Denona website. Like, I felt like this shade I thought was going to be a little bit more cool. I tend to get a fairly warm toned look with this palette. Even the blush is actually pretty warm. The blush did surprise me because on the Natasha Denona website, it described it as a matte blush, and it is matte. It's actually a fairly dry cream blush formula, which was in itself surprising, but it does have the tiniest of tiny micro gold sparkles in it. Like, it's the kind of thing that no one's gonna notice unless they're like this close to your face, like, and you know, so people aren't going to notice the sparkles in there, but I thought I would mention it in case that is something that you want to avoid. And then the highlighter is also, it's very pretty. It's not like super, super beaming like the Super Glow is. It's just a very wearable, very pretty highlighter. But the main reason I bought this palette was for the eyeshadows, and they are beautiful. The mattes blend out beautifully, and the shiny shades are exactly what I was looking for. I got mine during that 20% off sale at Sephora, and I had a $10 off coupon. I don't think I would personally pay full price though. It's nice, but not that nice. It's pretty expensive, but you know, that's just my take. Okay, let's talk about a face palette that a friend decluttered from her collection and gave to me. So this is from Pacifica. This is the Alighten Radiance Powder Face Palette. So it comes with 2 highlighters, a bronzer, and a blush. This is the very first product I've ever tried from Pacifica, and I was actually quite surprised just because usually I hear pretty negative reviews about Pacifica, but I actually found that I enjoyed this. So this is what the shades look like swatched out. This top highlighter, too deep for me, but I can use it as an eyeshadow, and I can dust it lightly over blush as like a blush topper. But the rest of it I found very useful. I think that the highlighter actually lays really nicely on the skin. This is one of those highlighters I tend to apply with more of a fluffy brush, not necessarily like a super pointed buffing in brush. I like it kind of just brushed on the tops of my cheekbones with a fluffy brush, and I thought it was very pretty. Both the bronzer and the highlighter are pretty powdery. Another product that gets a lot of kick up in the pan when you put your brush into it. Like, can you see all the powder sitting on my skin? Yeah. But I actually liked the tone of it, even though it maybe a little bit kind of yellowish blended out on my skin. It actually looked quite nice. It wasn't too pigmented, which I appreciated. And it's a very pretty color of blush. I mean, just looking at those swatches, this is obviously a palette designed more for light, fair to light, I think, just because of how light the bronzer is. But all of that said, I've enjoyed it. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to keep it in my collection, just because, again, I'm trying to only keep my most favorite things, but I'm tempted to keep it. I've never owned any other Pacifica thing, and I like this. I do. Okay, let's talk about a couple of mascaras. So this is one from NARS. I got this as a gift with purchase from Sephora a long time ago, I think. This is the Climax Extreme Mascara. So the wand is one of the kind of really big, chunky, fluffy wands. I'll put a picture up on the screen of how this made my lashes look. I liked it. It was quite volumizing. I got decent separation. Not the most lengthening mascara that I've ever used. So at first I was quite pleased with it. I'm like, yeah, this is not as good as, say, the Tower 28, but definitely something I would wear. However, the smudging that I got with this one was intense. I expect at the end of the day with most mascaras to have maybe a little bit of smudging, some flaking, but it was really bad with this one to the point where I don't even want to finish it. Usually if a mascara is just okay, I will still try to get use out of it to not waste the product, but I don't want to with this one. The smudging was too horrendous. I wouldn't recommend this to anybody. Another mascara I've been testing, I did a whole video actually about this mascara, so I don't need to talk about it too much, but this is the L'Oreal Telescopic. This is what the wand looks like. It's one of those extremely kind of flimsy, honestly, mascara wands. The short story is that I like it. It is a very lengthening mascara. It has a very wet formula. I do tend to need to use a lash comb when I wear this to comb out any clumping, but I do really like the lengthening effect and it wears pretty well on me. So this is one I will happily continue to use until it's done. Laura Geller sent me something in PR. I was so beyond excited when they reached out to me in my email and asked if I would like to try something. I was like, well, yes, I would. They even asked me, what would you like to try? And I said, well, I've always heard great things about your blushes. I would love to try a blush. You pick the shade, I told them. So they sent me the shade Ethereal Rose, which unfortunately it's pretty light. I think I'm gonna end up giving this to a friend of mine who's even more pale than I am. That being said, it is a beautiful formula. So it's a baked formula. You guys have probably heard a lot about these blushes, but this was my first time trying one. That's the color. It's super light, isn't it? But it's one of those things where I put it on my face and I wasn't even sure if you could see it, but look at that beautiful radiance. That is so pretty. And when I do put it on my skin, I do see the most soft flush of color. I think the name of this is pretty perfect. Ethereal Rose. It is very ethereal, and I think it would be just absolutely stunning on someone with very fair skin. So I do have a couple of friends who are paler than I am, so I'm gonna see if one of them would like to try this, but I would love to try another L'Oreal Geller blush. I recommend the formula if you like kind of that radiant, blushy look. It's very beautiful. I can see why they have been raved about for years. Thank you so much to the brand for sending me something to try. That is always just mind-blowing when that happens. So thank you so much. Oh, I was gonna mention at some point when I'm wiping off these swatches, there's not food around my mouth. I don't know how much you guys can see on camera. I've been dealing with a particularly icky, nasty breakout and I tried to cover things, but nah, things are poking through. So if you're like, is there dried food around her mouth? No. That's just some healing acne. This Revlon blush, I think this is so nice. So I picked up the shade Apricute. These Revlon blushes, apparently they've been recently repackaged and reformulated. I had no idea. It has a very silky texture. There is a decent amount of kick up again in the pan when you put your brush into it, but it blends out absolutely just lovely. It has great spreadability. I'm trying to enunciate. This color is, again, very wearable for me. And I actually really noticed the wear time on this one. That's not something I necessarily pay attention to all the time. I'm at home a lot, and so I'm just not really paying attention to wear time of blush. This one, however, I did notice when I went to wash my face off at the end of the night, wash off my face, the blush was still there. So I thought, definitely something to mention. I'm kind of rooting for Revlon. They have been going through some monetary troubles, and I love finding another product from them that I enjoy. Okay, so this Maybelline Vinyl Ink. I've kind of gone back and forth how I feel about this product. I have the shade Peachy. All the promo videos and photos for this, you see the women kissing the back of their hand to show that it's completely transfer proof. For me, this never completely goes transfer proof. It gets pretty close, but never completely transfer proof. And it's because it never completely dries down. It's meant to not be as uncomfortable as a traditional liquid lipstick. So it stays a little bit tacky, but that just means that it's more comfortable to wear. But even despite the tackiness that continues to stay, if I press my lips together, I really notice it. It is, for me, way more comfortable than a regular liquid lipstick. It's just not as drying. So while I don't think it's as incredible as some people have been making it sound, I do think it's a nice formula. I wouldn't mind getting more colors. I think it's nice. I do think, however, that stickiness on the lips would drive some people absolutely crazy, so just keep that in mind. From e.l.f., I tried one of their liquid glitter eyeshadows, and this is in the shade Disco Queen. So I specifically picked up a shade with larger glitters in it because I wanted it to specifically to be a glitter topper and not necessarily a metallic liquid shadow. This is so fun. This gives like a snow globe effect on your eyelid. For the snow globe effect, you really don't need much. I kind of put it on the back of my hand and then tap it on your lid. But if you really want kind of an intense sparkly look, you can just go right ahead. And right now, I know to you, this probably just looking like a shimmery white, but it has a lot of different colors in it. It has green, purple, red, orange, blue, like just lots and lots of colors in there. I actually don't have a lot of actual glitter toppers like this, so I find this to be a super fun little addition to my collection, and I actually found that it wore quite well. That's something I'm always paying attention to with my hooded eyes and oily eyes. A lot of things just don't like to stay on, and this one did a good job. There was probably some glitter under my eyes, but definitely not enough to where I was irritated. Yeah, this is like snow fairy makeup. It's really beautiful. I'm trying to go quickly. I'm getting through these things. So lately at TJ Maxx, they always have MAC lipsticks there, I feel like, but they have been having the Lustreglass lipsticks there, which has got me so excited. You know, I love me a balmy lipstick. So this is the shade Business Casual, which when I first opened the tube, I was a little scared because it looks pretty red, and I don't really wear red lipstick. However, this is a super kind of a sheer balmy formula that when I put it on, it doesn't look red. It looks kind of like this color, but in like a sheer formula, which makes it much more wearable for me. And that I know is a word I use a lot, and it's a word that's important to me. Makeup that is wearable, that's not difficult to figure out how to finagle to make work. I appreciate that, and to me this is very wearable. Because I've been enjoying the formula so much, I have been very tempted to pick up other shades, and so I did. I also picked up the shade Sea Sheer, which I find it very difficult to judge what the actual color of these lipsticks is going to be, but this shade is actually quite bright summery pink. If you can see the difference there. I can still pull off a pink like this, but to me it's very, very summery. I've been enjoying them. I really like them, and I like getting them for like $8 at TJ Maxx. And they do have a beautiful vanilla scent. Something I got on clearance. I don't know, is this like getting discontinued? I don't know, but this is the iconic Natasha Denona Super Glow. I picked up shade number 1. Fair. And I know I had someone tell me in the comment section like, oh, I hope you like beaming highlighters, because that's a very beaming highlighter. Yeah, I've been enjoying it. I do enjoy a beautiful glow. For a while when I first got into highlighter, I was only interested in kind of the low impact ones, but now I'm into the shine. I am enjoying these very much. So if you've never seen, that is what that shade looks like. This is one where if I just dust it with like a fluffy brush, it actually looks really, really intense. So this is one that I do tend to buff into my skin to give it more of that kind of that glass-like effect. Very pretty. This is a great shade for me. And again, I'm happy I got it on clearance at Sephora. I would never pay full price personally, but I do enjoy. Oh my gosh, we're down to the last thing. So I did a whole video cheek swatching these Essence Pure Nude Baked Blushes. I will link that video down below, and I don't want to go through an entire review again like I did in that video, but these are the two shades that I decided to keep. So this is the shade Goldy Cassis and Cool Coral. Goldy Cassis is a beautiful kind of cool toned purple, and it has super micro silver shimmers running through it to give this a beautiful satin sheen across your cheeks. So that's Goldy Cassis, really pretty, beautiful spreadable formula. And the shade Cool Coral, same thing, no big major glitters, but there's like tiny little micro sparkles in there to give it a beautiful satin effect. That's Cool Coral. You do need to be careful when it comes to these. Some of them have way more glitter than others. And again, I went over all of that in that cheek swatching video, so if you're interested in all the different shades and what they look like, check out that video. But overall, I think they're beautiful, and I will be happy to add these to my collection. Whew, I feel like I was racing through that so this video didn't become super long. Thank you guys so much for watching today. Make sure that if you've tried any of these products to let everyone know down in the comment section what your experience is with these products. Just because I have a certain experience with something, someone else may have a totally totally different experience, and so we all benefit from hearing everyone's reviews. So please feel free to share your review down in the comment section. And again, I hope you all have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time. Bye!